for not actually telling any Australian jokes. So, again, I really want to thank everyone for joining us today and this evening. Before I start to talk about Joe, again, I want to acknowledge a few people who Peter neglected to mention in his speech this morning. Sorry, firstly, Lorena, our babysitter for the past 10 years, who has helped us raise Joe, or should I say, we've helped her raise Joe. I want to acknowledge Peter's parents, Albert and Martin Nadler, who are in good health, thankfully. Couldn't be here with us tonight. They are Holocaust survivors. A lot of the pictures tonight are of their families who all perished in the Holocaust. Sisters, fathers, grandparents, cousins, and they survived through luck, through the sheer force and vitality of their own personalities, and we're just so privileged, and Joe has been very privileged to know them and to have them in our lives. And then lastly, Rabbi Antonio. What can I say? I didn't actually realise today was your last Shabbat, so we're just so honoured that you were able to share it with us, and thank you for thank you for bringing so much joy to this community. You know that we'll miss you terribly, but we miss you really well. So, a little bit like the service this morning, that was the introduction to the introduction. I do want to mention that the truth is, Joe did actually surprise us with how sort of seriously and conscientiously he studied for his bar mitzvah today. But the truth is, Joe has always been fascinated by the Bible. All those asses. Don't cover your neighbour's ass. Abraham takes his ass up the mountain. Right, Joe? Yes? Asses? Oh, and prostitutes. Let's not forget, whatever the rabbi said this morning, he's still just a 13-year-old boy. But we have been delighted recently to see a newfound maturity in Joe as he's made preparations for his bar mitzvah. In fact, so much so that we decided he was ready to take on the responsibility of having a pet, the little dog that Guy mentioned. So while Daddy and Alana were in America, Joe and Mommy bought an adorable little brown poodle at the pet shop up in Roppongi. Joe was very quick to name her Sadie, right there on the spot. I was delighted that he could come up with such a pretty and suitable name for this darling little puppy. It was only later that I discovered the real reason that Joe chose that name. It's because he thinks it's the female form of Satan. Very responsible with Sadie, and he has a whole armoury of advanced dog training techniques up his sleeve, including the extremely effective Vulcan nerve pinch. And actually, believe it or not, Joe didn't even have to teach Sadie to talk because, would you believe, and Joe will verify this, ability to understand the Andalusian language, which, of course, Joe speaks fluently, along with several Slavic languages. Don't forget, folks, he's a 13-year-old boy. But I have to say, the credit really does go to Peter, who has been the guiding light in fostering Joe's sense of responsibility. In fact, a few years back, at Peter's encouragement, Joe joined the Cub Scouts. This was just before the Lehman shock, and to Peter's dismay, the entire cast of Scoutmasters actually left Japan, taking their little cubs with them. So this actually left Peter with having to lead the remnants of the pack. He tried manfully to shoulder the burden of organising the various activities. I have to say, the writing was on the wall when at my first ever camp out, I discovered that the poles and tent we had so frugally purchased from the TAC moving sale didn't actually match. And we spent the night freezing under a flapping tarpaulin. Meanwhile, Lauren Kawasaki, whom some of you may know, had single-handedly assembled a structure that looked like a kid home and was sitting out on the porch in her LL Bean rocking chair while her 3 boys frolicked nearby. My forebodings were fully realised when, on their first actual outing after Peter took over, a hike to Mount Takao. Repeat, Mount Takao. Okay, for non-Tokyoites, this is the scouting equivalent of walking to the corner store. One of the boys lost his footing, fell down the side of the mountain, and had to be saved by an alpine rescue team flown in by helicopter. Thankfully the boy had only a few scratches, and I have to say on that day, Joe really showed his true colours. He really tried to keep up the spirits of the other boys as he contemplated his father's future in a Japanese prison for reckless manslaughter. The lesson of this story, ladies and gentlemen, was not lost on Joe. Jewish people are not meant to be scoutmasters. Anyway, Joe is going to be too busy focusing on his real career as a doctor or a lawyer. Okay, maybe a dentist or an accountant. Joe, it's okay, we know you have other plans. A lot of the credit for Joe's recent development goes to Nishimachi International School. And one in particular who would be absolutely delighted to see Joe's development tonight would be the former elementary school principal who... Well, we'll see. As some of you may know, the elementary school principal recently left Nishimachi and moved to Egypt to take up a post there. We were dearly hoping that she would be with us tonight. I'm hoping that Guy or Aria might be around somewhere. Yeah, we're good? Okay. Yeah, so Mrs. Jackson Jin, yeah, okay, so we were very much hoping that she could be here tonight, but by a telecast from Egypt, but unfortunately the Muslim Brotherhood wouldn't allow Egypt Telecom to beam her into a bar mitzvah. So she's represented here by this drawing that Joe did in 3rd grade. Dad, for once you and I have been on the same wavelength, because only a few months ago I did come home to find Joe watching something on YouTube and actually sobbing his eyes out. And it turned out to be an old movie of Charlie Chaplin. That most famous of clowns giving his iconic speech in The Great Dictator, which included the following words: "I'm sorry, but I don't want to be an emperor. That's not my business. I don't want to rule or conquer anyone. I should like to help everyone if possible. Jew, Gentile, black man, white, we all want to help one another. Human beings are like that. We want to live by each other's happiness, not be by each other's misery." That appeal to the very best of human values affected Joe deeply. Because Joe, like Charlie Chaplin, the clown that you are, quirky, original, independent-minded, funny, are also a sweet, compassionate and caring boy. Are you listening to me, Joe? Are you listening to this speech? You read the newspaper and ask questions. You love history and adventure. You stand up for other kids in the playground. You tell Dad, Alana and I every day how much you love us. And you are a prodigiously talented artist. You have thrived in your Jewish studies because it appeals to these qualities in you. Because it is not an exercise in rote learning, but because it is about history, ethics, psychology and tradition, and because it challenges us to make moral decisions and to undertake that most outmoded of human behaviours called thinking. And Joe, I'm happy to say you are a thinker. Joe, Dad, Alana and I are very, very proud of you. Congratulations on becoming a bar mitzvah, and we love you very much. Thank you.